What is going on, you guys? This is Game here, back with another video. Today we will be discussing how to fly faster, farther, along with a few extra tips when gliding in Apex Legends. And before you make any comments, please watch the video throughout its entirety. I share a lot of extra tips towards the end where at least one of them will most likely benefit your flying skills. Thank you, and if you enjoy the topic at hand, consider subscribing to the channel. Alright, so when you launch a game, select the character, and are in the dropship, you want to figure out where you're going. Once that is set in stone, mark on the map, and once you're roughly 650 meters away, that is the time to jump. The reason being is at this distance, it is the minimum angle at which you dive without slowing down. I calculated this by using some fun trigonometry, that thing with SOHCAHTOA that you learned in math class back in middle school that you thought you'd never have any real life application with. Well, it turns out it does. And I don't want to bore you with any of that information because that's not what you're here for, but too fucking bad. It's my video and I do whatever I want. I first calculated the maximum horizontal speed at which you stop slowing down while flying horizontal, which caps at 131 meters per second. Then I found out the maximum speed you can go in the vertical direction while flying, which came out to be roughly 157.6 meters per second. Then I messed around with the dive animation to find the speed I would dive at just before it would start slowing me down, and that came out to 146.6 meters per second. I didn't need both the vertical and horizontal speeds, but I wanted to for shits and giggles. Then I took the arc cosine of 113 over 146.6 to find the relative angle at which to dive at, which came out to be roughly 40 degrees. This angle turned out to be shit because this physics engine of this game isn't accurate to pen and paper exactly. But to test this anyways and get the correct angle, I took the height at which the dropship is at 600 meters, and I took 600 divided that by tan of 40 degrees to find the horizontal distance in this game. If you're wondering why I'm not finding the hypotenuse for this distance, it's because this game renders pings only in the horizontal direction. It doesn't take into account the vertical direction, which would be the hypotenuse. Don't believe me? Well, fuck you then. I tested it, you could test it yourself. My answer came out to be 715 meters, so I tested this, it turned out to be wrong. Then when I dropped the next game, when I was roughly 650 meters away, and without changing the angle or speed, it maxed at 147 meters per second, which is close enough for me, and that comes out to roughly 43 degrees of an angle. Why is this important, you may ask? Because science. The next question you probably have has to do with whether you should be doing the wavy thing where you go up and down while flying. The short answer is yes. If you need to stretch an extremely far distance, you should definitely go down until you hit roughly 146 meters per second, then pull back up until your speed indicator drops to around 135 meters per second on the left hand side, and the minimum speed you want it to drop at is 130 meters per second, but if you keep it in between, you should be fine. Then you just rinse and repeat. And when you are launching from balloons, it really doesn't matter as long as you hold forward and lock yourself with free look so you don't change directions when falling. But for the maximum distance possible though, you are able to actually get 1 or even 2 loops in your flight time, depending on how high the balloon is and where it's located. This is what gave me the best results when practicing, but your results also may vary, as this will definitely take some time and practice for getting used to and to perfect. Now, if you're wondering why this is more effective than going in a straight line, unless of course you are going straight down, it has to do with some simple physics. And I won't bore you again with this stupid math stuff because who cares about that, right? No, fuck you, it's my video. So there's this thing called gravitational potential energy, and one way of calculating it is through an equation mgh, where m is the mass, g is the gravitational acceleration, and h is the height. And since we don't know what mass and gravity are, and since they don't change in this example, height is the only thing that affects your potential energy. The higher up you are, the more energy you have. How does this relate to your speed? Well, when you fall, that potential energy becomes translational kinetic energy in layman terms, and the equation for that is 1/2 mv squared, where m is the mass and v is the velocity. We get rid of the mass and we are left with the velocity. So as your height decreases, you lose potential energy but gain kinetic energy. But since this game accounts for drag, air friction, heat loss, and all of that capped off speed stuff, you don't use all of your stored energy, as some of it is lost to the environment. So when you pull back up, you are storing your kinetic energy as potential energy as you glide horizontally, but as you pull down and the angle increases, that stored energy comes right back into play. If you want a simple demonstration of how this works, there's one on screen and I'll link it down below under my sources. It's a real life example that will definitely help your mind understand it a little more conceptually. A tip for when you're landing, you want to make sure you hit slide if you are at a proper angle, otherwise you get stuck in a fall animation that takes a little too long to get out out of. When you slide, you could just cancel it and be on your merry little way. Also, when you need to land somewhere, let's say there's a wall there or a mountain right where you need to land, a really good tactic is to actually hit that fucking mountain so it cancels the falling and slowing down animation for when you are about to land with your rocket booster thingies, and you just fall straight to the ground. You beat everyone to the ground and you get there fastest, you get the gun fastest, you get the loot fastest. It works out in your favor every single time. And one last tip to leave you with is when you should actually launch from the dropship. You want to launch when you are the shortest distance possible from that location in which you want to go. The reason being is because the dropship moves faster than players in the air or on the ground. So it's important to note that jumping early can be detrimental for you and your squad. Additionally, you don't want to wait before you are directly on top of the area you want to land at. Wait until you are at a maximum of roughly 500 meters away and then jump. Keep it between 400 and 500 meters and you'll have no problem getting there first every time. But any shorter than that and you fucked your squad big time. See, being the Jumpmaster really is important in this game, and even if you haven't done a single bit of calculations to figure out any of this, neither did I. You get a feel for it after doing it a while, but getting a feel for doing it the wrong way can also be an issue. And if you are curious why I made this video, I've seen so many players just too scared to be the Jumpmaster, even if they're high level players, or just outright they just suck at it. So here's a video to help you all out to check if you are doing things correctly or completely wrong. Thank you all so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, a comment down below with your thoughts on the topic at hand, and of course if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more awesome videos just like this, because I've been Gamer. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.